And I return. Aren't you glad? I am glad. So let's try this again without hopefully a crashing. Resume saved. Educational extravaganza. Extravaganza! So what's going on? Did I actually launch that? Aha! Yes, I did launch it. It's just unhappy. Here we are. Okay, so we're back. And observe materials bay, observe mystery goo, keep it. Observe that mystery goo, take a crew report. And we'll go on EVA, let go. Take your EVA report and your surface sample. With those, stow those. And book it. Book it, baby! Whee! Ow! Whee! 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 Waddle your way to victory. Yeah, I've already taken surface samples and EV reports from here. That's alright. I'll plant a flag anyway. KSC runway was completely pointless. Oh, clicked out of the game by accident. I run it in Windows so I can Alt-Tab and check various things, but it's mostly full screen. Whee! Bloop. Bloop. Get out of the thing. And recover. Hooray! There we go, another 26 science. Can't argue with that. So for a total of 75. So some structural goodies will be handy. Yes. Yes. I want structural goodies to hold the rockets together rather than, yeah. Structural goodies, very important. So, to the moon we go with our second rocket. Some people are even more crazy than I and go to the moon on their first rocket. Scott Manley, looking at you. Jealous. That's okay. He's an awesome Scotsman, and I have no problems with Scott Manley. He's an amazing, amazing person. Love him to death. I'm just jealous at times. It happens. Alright. Now we're actually going to build this appropriately and put our science module underneath. Actually, before we put our science module on, we're going to put our Kerbal Flight Engineering System underneath our capsule and stick our science module in between it so that it hides it. Just for cosmetic reasons, honestly. To the moon. To the moon. So we have some stack-mounted parachutes. So we put those there. Put our compact survey unit for Kethane on top. Put a communitron on the back here. Get a couple of radial mount parachutes on the sides. They're very big, so I don't like to put a ton of those on. And these little radial mount drogue chutes. I'm frankly quite pleased that they balanced these out, because these were a little overpowered. The large parachutes have a deployment drag. Man, excuse me. Sorry, I keep belching. Have a deployment drag of about 500, while these radial mount drogue chutes have a deployment drag of only 125. So all four of these is about one of these stack parachutes or radial mounts. I'm going to put these stack parachutes at 50, these radial mounts at 300, and the drogue at 800. That'll provide us a nice, smooth descent, not jar anything. Excuse me. Now, batteries. Batteries, batteries, more batteries. Do I have enough batteries? No. It's like DACA. You always need more DACA. But this is KSP and there is no DACA. Well, okay, there's mods for that, but... I have some landing struts. This poses an interesting dilemma. Should I land on the moon? I will if I have enough Delta V to. Interesting. Very well. Anyway, moving on. Let me use this big guy right here. An orbital achievement device. Make sure that I have... Oh yes, I have plenty of Delta V for the moon. And as long as I land on this, and with it, I should be okay. Ooh, interstage adapter. I don't think I have any No, I don't have any 2-meter fuel tanks. Now that they gave me the interstage adapter, this is part of Nova Punch, and these are interstage adapters that actually contain a small amount of fuel. Unfortunately, I don't have any 2-meter rocket engines or fuel parts. Decoupler and fairing system. Huh. Interesting. I really think I need those, but I'll keep them anyway. Advanced augmented solid booster nose cone. Oh, I see what that is. Interesting. No more info. Okay, fine. Coupler, blah blah blah. We'll stack the coupler on there. And just in case I don't have any standard lights, which I would like instead of these LED lights. The LEDs are handy for docking, but not so much landing. The distance at which they travel is markedly inferior to that of the flood lamps. The parabolic ones, rather. I don't need lantern legs, I want deployable ones. And we'll make those a nice yellow. Nice pale yellow. Like sodium. Something like that. And we'll get this. Why am I using these? They're really not any more overpowered. They're just slightly bigger than the stock pieces, and the more segments you have in a given fuel tank, the more wobbly they tend to be in. Wobbly rockets are not good rockets. They're bad rockets. They're very bad rockets. I'll save that for the launch section since that's less efficient. What shall I use instead? Ooh, that's even better for upper staging. Well, what I have under control? Ooh, this is important. Let's make sure we put this on. Bam. Reaction wheels, handy for controlling your spacecraft without using RCS. Which I actually don't even have any RCS. Neither the control blocks nor the fuel for it, so it's moot. Okay, let's shift this on up. If you shift click something, you can move the entire rocket all at one go. Let's get another stack decoupler. And let's go ahead and put insulated fuel tanks on there, and a strong launch engine. Bearcat Series 1. And put 3 of these together. And a little nose cone to top it off and make it look fancy. Move it up a little bit. Hey, compact that, get that out of the way. Sometimes it gets in the way, so it has a handy little button to compact it and put it away. How are we going to the moon? Are we landing on the moon? Well, the answers are both yes. Hopefully. structure-wise. That's very small. Ooh. Why this is sideways, I'm not certain. We're gonna put it like that, so it looks fancy. Yay, fancy. Appearances, well, not everything, are important. Now we're gonna take this, copy it on the bottom of this, and take these away. I don't need you. Then put our long wing load bodies on here. Do, 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 do. That's kind of loud in my ears, but I have the volumes adjusted volumes adjusted in OBS so that you can hear me just fine, while I can hear the rockets and the music plenty well also. Okay, so this should be pretty stable on its own. Don't need to do much there. But put a couple short wing load there. Short wing load there. And then get our radial decoupler, plop it there, long wing load here. This is probably an excessive amount of thrust for this task, but you know what? I don't quite care. Because when you don't have enough, or rather, I should say, there is no such thing as overkill. Because when you need it, and you don't have it, you sing a different tune. Advanced SRB nose cone. There we go. That looks interesting. And segmented solid booster nose cone 1.25. Huh. Well, it doesn't quite look like it fits. Let's see if that looks better. That looks better. You just look silly. Yeah. I'll use it. Fine. I'll use what I'm supposed to use for. It's just too white and this is grayer. Now, the most important part of everything. Struts. When you have a big, heavy rocket like this, struts on everything. Did I say struts on everything? I meant struts on everything. More struts, better. Wiggly rockets are sad rockets. Stable rockets are happy rockets. And you like your rockets to be happy. Why am I strutting all this up? Because this is a tons and tons of thrust. Look at all that delta V. 9,562 meters per second of delta V. And plenty of thrust to weight ratio on everything concerned in order to get it all done. I may wind up just jettisoning some of the later stages anyway, but we'll get to that bridge when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, rather. Excuse me. Okay, that will help keep that section stable. And we'll strut that up on that side. Just be on the safe side too. Okay. Do that there. And last but not least, grab this, strut it up. Well, that's not good. Very well then. How to play your game, you rogue. Okay. Fantastic. Mick awesome. Okay. And, of course, I insist on setting up control groups. Oh dear. I crashed it, didn't I? Nope. Okay, we're good. We're good. Save that, just in case. Set this up on number 2. Set our science up on number 3. Probably don't really need to, but it's handy. Bay. And why not crew report? Alright, got my lights, got tons of batteries, got landing gear, got a... This might actually be a little tricky, but it's a good thing that I have the... reaction wheels, and I'm actually going to put another set on. Okay. So, that's all that goodiness. Let's make sure that my upper stages, they have plenty of thrust-to-weight ratio for the moon. 2,000 liters per second should be enough to get me off the moon and back home to Kerbin. Fantastic McAwesome, commence. I may cut it here on posting, so I'll be back in a bit when I get back. Of course I'll be back in a bit when I get back. I'll be back in a bit after a jump cut. Alrighty, and we're back, and this looks kinda silly. If I had stability wings, I'd probably have those on too, and make it even look even more silly. But, alrighty, here we go, Jeb. You're going to the moon. You're going to be the first person on everything I explore. Hopefully. Okay, so, here I can actually take my time and go over all the displays on this. So on the surface display, we have our altitude with both relative to sea level and terrain, vertical and horizontal speed with relative to the ground. Oh. Actually, I think horizontal speed is at surface. I don't know. Might be because the top is wiggling. Turn that off. Nope, didn't help any. Longitude, latitude, impact time. That's actually very handy for making smooth landings. And I'll show you when I land on the moon. Impact longitude, latitude, impact altitude. G-forces, which will be very apparent during launch here. Terminal velocity, which is also handy during launch and landing. Atmospheric efficiency, very important for space planes and planes. Atmospheric drag, pressure, atmospheric density. Don't really need to worry about density or pressure directly, but they are handy for just knowing what you are doing and stuff. And I didn't put on any ladders. Go me. That's okay, though, because the moon has low enough gravity that I can just turn on my little maneuvering jetpack and get back into the capsule without too much hassle. Excuse me. So I got plenty of delta V here. Notice that all these values and the total are a bit lower. That's because I'm in atmosphere, and until I'm further up, my ISP is going to be lower than it will be in space, which is why we try to launch carefully, so that we're not wasting energy at lower efficiency and wasting energy against friction. So without further ado, launch! You have no idea how loud this is on my side. Actually, you probably do. It's approximately twice as loud on my side. But here we go. Probably should have my chat up on the side. There we go. I didn't update my thing, did I? No, I did not. Space program update. Really? Bastard. Password. Yay! And pop out our chat. Alright, now that Twitch is taken care of, let's get back to it. Move you to the side so I can see the Twitch chat on the side. And keep going. Alright, now you might notice that I'm slowly running out of solid fuel, but that's okay. And I'm not even using my proper thrust, because these solid rocket boosters are just doing such a darn good job, and I'm actually going faster than my terminal velocity. Jettison those. Oh my god, these things are loud. Listen a little bit. Oh my gosh, that is horrifically loud. But as you can see, I'm maintaining an upward velocity straight up of about between 100 and 120 meters per second, up to about 10,000 meters when the air starts getting reasonably thin. Then I'll pitch over a little bit, and we'll go from there. Alright, we are approaching our 10,000 meter mark, so we'll start pitching right now. And we're good. Get in there. There you go. Once we're at this, we'll accelerate so that our g-force is approximately 1.5. Why? Atmospheric efficiency. When I start pitching over, atmospheric efficiency becomes important. Otherwise, we start drifting and falling more drastically. As you can see, my rocket is pointing at an angle, but the exhaust trail shows its motion at a sharper angle than what I'm pointing at. You generally don't want that as much as possible, as much as reasonably possible. You want to be traveling the direction that you're pointing, otherwise you're losing efficiency. But, you know, you take what you can get. And I'm trying to manage my throttle so that I am accelerating, but I'm not accelerating too fast and wasting energy against friction. So, once I hit 20,000, I pitch over to about 45 degrees, and then I'll throttle up to about 2 G's worth of acceleration. And we'll continue on this. Probably going to dump this section in a couple seconds here. 1 second, actually. And get going on this. Look at that. There goes the launch stage. This will be the second and orbital insertion stage. At about 40,000 meters, I'll usually max out the throttle, depending on how much thrust I'm using, pitch over to 20 degrees. Then I'll switch over from surface to orbital display, because I really don't care about surface since the atmosphere is too thin to really care about. All I care about now is my apoapsis. I'm going to try to get that to about 90,000 meters, and then cut it right at 90, right there. That's good. So now I have some time to plot my orbital maneuver. It's about 2 minutes away, so that's good. So I click on right about where the apoapsis is, bring that up, and just drag this over. Actually, bring up my nav ball here. And drag this over. And you probably watch that little orange apoapsis start to drift away, and then it flips around. Flips around, you have a circular orbit. I try to keep my insertion orbits as circular as possible. Otherwise, it's annoying. You can see a little jerking going on, but that's because I have those reaction wheels, and they tend to cause a little jerkiness in it when I use them, especially if they have a lot of force, which I suspect I probably have a bit much force on my reaction wheels going. That's okay. Okay, so I'm done with the orbital display. I don't really need that at the moment anymore, so I can clean up that side of the screen. So we see our estimated burn is about 37 seconds. I need 926 meters per second of delta V for the burn. This stage has 1600 meters per second remaining. And this number actually goes hand in hand with this as an even fraction. 900 divided by 1600 is a certain ratio, and that certain ratio times 51.9 seconds comes out to be about 37 seconds of burn. And as you'll see here, I will start my burn at about 19 seconds. Doesn't have to be exactly half, but pretty close. So right about now. Just max it out. Actually switch over to precision controls. In the options menu, outside of all of this, there is a keybind for precision flight controls. If you look in the very bottom left-hand corner here, where you see the roll, yaw, and pitch force indicators, they've actually changed to blue. Normally they're orange. I have mine bound to tab. I think it's normally caps lock, I think? Maybe. I just don't like using caps lock for it. But precision controls really graduate how it reduces the maximum, I think, by half, and it graduates the amount of force that your various roll, pitch, yaw, as well as your RCS translational controls will put out. So it really reduces the wiggle, and it also lets you control the spacecraft a lot more precisely at the expense of controlling it quickly. But since I have a lot of control available to me, especially under power, I don't really need to worry about that. Powering along, I'm just trying to keep the center of this orange flight indicator right in the middle of this V, right over the center dot of that blue maneuver indicator. I don't care about the yellow one, because the yellow one will move. As long as I follow this maneuver indicator as close as possible, I will get a circular orbit as I plotted. As it gets close, see how the camera switched there? That means I'm now orbital, kind of. As it switches over, I'll either cut throttle or throttle back and try to ease it in so that as this number ticks down, all I'm doing is just trying to keep my nose pointed at the center of that until it really starts flipping out, and this goes to about 0. Whatever. 0.1, 0.0 is the best, obviously. I click a little check mark, and the maneuver goes away. Now look at that. Almost perfect. And you know what? In engineering, good enough is perfect. Now, where's the moon? I'm going to have to make a circuit around Kerbin for this. Now okay, good. The engineer does have a rendezvous calculator. Celestial body, moon. It is really handy if you want to use this rendezvous information. I typically don't, unless I really, really need to rendezvous with something specific and it's being a pain in the butt. But it doesn't take into account maneuvers. So, wait a minute. Intercept angle, phase angle. No. Couldn't be. Anyway, so disregarding the rendezvous display for now, I'm going to move this maneuver around about to here-ish. The moon travels counterclockwise around Kerbin when viewed from the top. So, if I travel... So I will have to actually catch up to it and intercept it. So I can't just start it from here and go straight at it, because when I get here, the moon's going to be way over here. So I have to plan ahead for that. Say, it kind of goes maybe about a sixth to a quarter of the way around its circuit. And there we are. It's more like about a fifth before I get there. Now I'm going to make my periapsis around the moon pretty low by accelerating towards it. And preferably approaching from the front side, like this. It'll be fine. I'll go over gravitational assists and braking in a little bit. But suffice it to say, as you can see, actually I'll go over it now, since I have it in maneuver and this maneuver is 20 minutes away. I won't make you wait 20 minutes, I promise. I don't even want to wait 20 minutes. Whenever you approach an object and leave its orbit in the same direction that it's traveling, you actually get kind of a boost in speed. So normally it would take me a lot more delta V to leave the Kerbin system on my own. Actually move it here, out of the way. Yeah. It would take me a lot more delta V to leave the Kerbin system on my own. See this? Here we are. 951 meters per second of delta V to leave the Kerbin system. Instead, messed that up. So 951, keep that in mind. So instead, if I time my intercept with the moon just right, I can leave Kerbin for almost 100 meters per second less delta V. That's fancy. I'm actually going to leave that right where it's at. Nah, I want a bit lower. So I am going a bit faster to reduce the periapsis, or the low point, of the slingshot around the moon. So that when I get into the moon's, or sphere of influence rather, I can get a nice low periapsis so that I can plot my descent well. And I'll probably do it around the moon's equator for this, since I'm not caring about the Cathane stuff yet. So 18 minutes to orbital, or maneuver intercept. Let's go ahead and twist around. This is why I have the reaction wheels, so that I can move this big heavy rocket around relatively easily and not have to fight it. And we'll line that up, and we'll use the little exploit of time acceleration, non-physics time acceleration in space, cancels all rotational movement. I can't go faster than 50x while below 120,000 meters. That's fine, I don't care. Now I'm not using my science stuff because I don't have a science lab. Science lab is necessary to reset these modules. And I do not have that, so they are a one-shot deal. If I can land on the moon and bring that back, bring that science back, I will definitely do that instead. Here we go, and we are burning now. Even though I'm not perfectly lined up, I'll line up on my way in. There we go. And this maneuver does calculate for that. If you change your velocity off of the vector of the maneuver, it will change as well. It will compensate. So as long as your velocity at the end of your maneuver is what you originally planned it to be, and I just lost that. Very well. Get out of here. So now I'm down to high efficiency but low thrust to weight ratio. Okay, so I'm entering the moon's sphere of influence right now. We'll go ahead and keep burning nice and smoothly until I see my actual orbit resolve to a nice low periapsis. Of about, even lower than that. So see how I use the maneuvers as guides, but I don't follow them explicitly. I keep an eye on my maneuvers, or my actual path, rather than relying solely on the maneuvers. And there we go. Periapsis of 30,000 meters, and we are well on our way. I'll turn off the SAS to save some power. I will be right back after these messages.